Good morning, this is Chris Allen. Here's an update for week 5. So this week in Calc AB, we were moving on to chapter 5, which is differential equations. We've been in chapter 4 since early December. It's a big chapter. They had their test. They'll get that back this week. But so this week we're finally going to move on to some different stuff, differential equations. In Calc BC, students will be preparing for their big chapter 8 test, which is Wednesday. Here's a sample problem where they basically need to figure out whether a series is convergent or divergent. That's what this first test of chapter 8 is. Then we'll continue on chapter 8 on infinite series, looking at things like power series and Taylor series. In geometry, we will be continuing looking at trig ratios. Today, they actually have a weekly quiz on what we did last week, which was on the Pythagorean theorem and special right triangles. Okay, so I do want to take a little bit of time here. This is kind of specifically for geometry, parents and students. This is a screenshot from Canvas, which I've talked about quite a bit. Anyway, so this week you can see at the top of the module, there's a week overview with the objectives of the week, which is typically just 2 lessons. Today is Monday, so we're having our weekly quiz over, again, what we did last week. But I want to focus here on Tuesday, Wednesday. So the one lesson we'll do on Tuesday and Wednesday is section 9.4 tangent ratio. So first 2 things you'll see posted is my notes, and then you'll see there's a video here to go along with those notes. So if a student was not here, they could have the notes, complete the notes on their own, and they could even watch a video of a teacher explaining it. Now this particular video is not mine. This is one that I got off of YouTube and I've previewed, but it's there. It's a resource. It's also there if a student's in class and maybe they're not having a good day, or maybe they don't think I did a good enough job of explaining something. They could rewatch this video. Okay, but here's the next thing. So in class, we'll go over the notes. I'll do examples, some that I do, some that I ask them to do, and then we work them out together. Then I encourage students to do these textbook problems. So it says textbook problems from section 9.4. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And so here, I do this for every lesson. It says textbook problems, and it says page 473, blah, blah, blah. Numbers 1 through 17, odd. By the way, students have access to their textbook using this Big Ideas link. So it's all students, they don't have to have a physical textbook. They can access it online. So then what students could do is they could actually look at these problems and practice them on top of doing the practice that they're given in class. And just to make sure we're clear, that let me go back one here. So after we do our notes, I'll give the entire class, it's usually 8 to 10 problems on that particular topic that they work in their groups and they do. Many of those students get those done in class, and they're done before they leave class that day with them. Some students want more time, take more time, and they give them to me the next class, no penalty. It's due at the beginning of the class. So then what I would encourage them to do is, if just to make sure they've got it, is to do some textbook problems. So here are those problems. Now, so they maybe look this up, and let's say they're doing problem number 13, and they're working on it, and they're like, oh, I'm not sure I'm doing this right. What can I do? Well, they could go to calcchat.com, and on calcchat.com, all the odd numbered questions have their answers with work shown. So this is a really nice way for a student to verify that they do indeed understand the lesson. And let's just say a student looks at this and they're still like, man, I still don't understand how they got, 555.14 for the height. Well, then they could go to Calc View if they really needed to, and there's a video. Now, not every homework problem has this, but many of them do. So here's a teacher that's actually explaining how he came up with that answer. So I'm going to go back to the Canvas module. So this is kind of the progression I kind of expect students to do. And then once they feel really confident about the lesson, then they can do the homework quiz. And the homework quiz is due Friday night in this case, in this particular problem. Looks like it's got 16 points. They get 2 shots to do this assignment. So let's say they go through and they don't do great, and then they go back and maybe they didn't do the homework or the textbook problems. And so like, oh gosh, I don't understand this and I thought I did. Well, then they go back, do some of the textbook problems, and then they do the second attempt on the homework quiz, and then they do a better score. And they get the average of the two. So they get a second shot on the homework quiz. The homework quiz is for a grade, but the textbook problems I do not collect. So I already am collecting the practice that they do in class. I'm giving them a grade for their homework quiz. And then, like at the beginning of this week, they'll have a weekly quiz. They'll have a weekly quiz next week over these two. So there's a lot of opportunities for students to practice and make sure they're ready to rock and roll. And then eventually the test will come around and they should be very well prepared at that point. I hope that makes sense. Again, this Canvas module is how I really structure my class. There's really no surprises. Everything's kind of laid out for them. And they can actually do a lot of this even if they're not here in class. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please send me an email or give me a call. Thank you for your time.